And then rounding it out with, some more of the mobility features as well. Intune Plan 1, Randy hit on this, but think about the ability to wipe laptops remotely. If you're someone who has a mobile device other than a laptop that you receive email on, this is the ability for teams to configure and determine what applications might be allowed on that device, as well as another, enhanced security features with if it gets into the wrong hands, can we wipe it? As well as endpoint analytics. What are these users doing, excuse me, on their mobile devices? So Intune Plan 1, a lot of folks are, if they're not eligible for Business Premium, they're adding this on its own, and we'll kind of get into the additional cost as to all of these features if you were to purchase them individually versus the package bundle pricing with Business Premium.
Yeah, so this is the one, like I said, and I apologize, Josh, I was responding to a comment in the thread there from Jason. So Jason, I did respond to that, and we touch base on that a little bit later. If we have some time at the end, I can go into a little bit more in depth on that for you. But in particular for the Intune Plan 1, again, this is probably the one that is the biggest one that I find is shelfware that most people aren't even leveraging or even looking at. And so, that Intune Plan 1 is device management. So that's not just Windows. That could be your Mac fleet. That could be your mobile devices even. So this has Android and iOS integrations also. So again, depending on what you're looking to try to do and try to get visibility across, this is a good way to do that. It does MDM and MAM. So if you need an application managed container where you want to have maybe it's BYO mobile devices, and you want folks to be able to get access to email, but only through Outlook and their OneDrive, but it's contained to a container, so they can't take that data outside of that device and send it off elsewhere. From an exfiltration perspective, there's a lot of good controls and opportunities that come in the SKU that if you're running Business Premium, you already have. And in most cases, people haven't even looked at it or haven't even turned it on. So that's, again, part of that shelfware conversation we definitely want to make sure everybody's aware of and that you're understanding what you have capabilities to do. And the other one really has been around, again, app packaging and management across your fleet. So this is a way to really kind of standardize that, get controls around what's in there and quickly deploy, but also facilitating new devices without having to have, that IT overhead of having to re-image and or reinstall those apps manually into the environment. So that's what I had. Go ahead, Josh. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I obviously am a huge user of Intune myself. I don't always recommend mixing work applications on your personal device, but for my work habits, it has to happen. And this is a great way to both manage and keep separate my work stuff from everything else. So, yeah, good coverage there on Intune Plan 1. Randy, I might turn this one over to you.
Yeah.
Um,
So absolutely. So this is a lot of the Windows features that are, provided. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but in particular, BitLocker is huge, right? Again, if you have endpoints, especially endpoints that are not going in and out or that are going outside of your organization boundary security walls, but even for those inside, I mean, unfortunately, internal espionage, things like that are still real. Those things do happen. So we definitely want to make sure where we can, when we have the capabilities that we're going ahead and doing BitLocker. That's the localized disk encryption on your endpoint devices. So that's definitely something that's key. That makes sure that disk, or even if you have a disposal process, someone doesn't properly dispose of a disk drive, and you just recycle those or send them out, or however you handle that program, that data isn't able to be exfiltrated without someone actually having those keys. So that's the key part of that one. Obviously, Defender for endpoint, this is key. We've seen a real shift in terms of leveraging from an antivirus perspective anymore. From just the pure AV, we're pretty much all a Defender shop now. There's really no reason not to be. Microsoft has really risen in that quadrant as an industry leader. They have, I can't remember the number of security folks that they have on staff near that. It's in the thousands because of the footprint that they have to manage across the Azure environments they're responsible for and everything else. Like their security bench is massive now. And what we've seen with that change is a real depth of security enhancements from their product stack as well. So that's really been a key part of that also. So that's been a lot of what we've seen. So again, that Defender really has those components kind of built into it. So again, the threat analytics is in there. Again, really making sure we got the firewall. Again, Enter ID join is a big part of this. We're seeing that's really taking off. Laps, as I mentioned earlier, is huge, right? If you've got if you're still in the days of having a single local admin password across all of your devices, you really need to take a look at laps in particular, specifically from the desktop endpoints, because that's usually where the threat's going to happen first. And ultimately, you can leverage laps not even for those, but also getting into your server devices as well. So that's definitely good. Some of the newer ones that are on here that you may not be aware of, again, Windows Autopatch, it allows you essentially from inside of Azure, actually put Windows Update, centralized management, visibility, and reporting, as well as universal print. That's a new one. We've not done a lot with that, but that's a service from Azure that allows you to basically route print jobs from anywhere back into the internal infrastructure to be able to do printing. Now you have to have specific printers, but there are some things there that are newer that are coming along the spot as well. So those are some of the key things that we're seeing inside of these that a lot of times maybe aren't being used, or someone's paying for an antivirus when honestly, like Defender, again, and I mentioned it in the chat earlier that again, a Defender in depth strategy is always going to be key. So that's one of the chat questions earlier about do we still recommend, something like a Proofpoint or a Mimecast, right, in front of the Defender for Office 365? And the answer is yes, right? Because they do some additional things above and beyond. And again, we want multiple things looking at and trying to secure that endpoint. And there's different dials we can tune in terms of the security around those various tools. So always looking at the security in depth strategy. So again, Defender, and then typically adding on an MDR platform on top of it for advanced threat hunting analytics on top of that Defender platform is what we're seeing a lot of cases from the industry today.
Absolutely. And the last point I'll make is, we saw earlier Defender for Office 365 Plan 1 and Plan 2 features, and now we're seeing Defender for Endpoint Plan 1 and Plan 2 features, right? All of which are included with Business Premium.